What does a data engineer actually do all day? Because it's one of the highest paying roles in IT right now. But almost nobody can explain what the job looks like when you sit down at your desk on a Monday morning. Hi, I'm Christoph. I changed careers into IT back in 1998 and worked my way from help desk to IT director over 27 years. Today I'm going to walk you through a full day in the life of a data engineer so you can see exactly what this role looks like from the inside. If you've been looking at IT career paths lately, you've probably noticed that data engineering keeps showing up everywhere. Job postings are exploding. Salaries are averaging $130,000 to $135,000 a year, with senior engineers pulling $170,000 or more. And big tech companies, some of them are paying well over $200,000 in total compensation. But here's the problem. Most people have no idea what a data engineer actually does. You hear data and you think spreadsheets, maybe some charts, but that's data analysis. Data engineering is the infrastructure layer underneath all of that. You're building the systems that collect, move, transform, and store data so that analysts, data scientists, and business leaders can actually use it. And if you're coming from a traditional IT background, sysadmin, help desk, DBA, this role might be closer to what you already know than you think. In fact, if you watched my day in the life of a DBA video, you'll see a lot of overlap. Data engineering is essentially the modern evolution of database administration with bigger scale, cloud platforms, and a lot more automation. Today, I'm going to follow Marcus, a senior data engineer at a mid-size e-commerce company, through his entire workday. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what the job looks like, what tools are involved, and whether this is the right career move for you. And if you want to know how to actually break into this role, I've got a step-by-step video coming next week. Number 1, the morning pipeline health check. Marcus gets to his desk around 7:30. He's fully remote, which is common in data engineering. A lot of these positions offer remote or hybrid flexibility. The first thing he does every single morning is check whether last night's batch jobs ran successfully. See, most data pipelines run overnight. They pull data from dozens of sources: the company's web platform, their mobile app, the payment system, the warehouse inventory system, and move all of that into a central data warehouse. If any of those pipelines failed overnight, the reports that the executive team looks at every morning are going to show stale or missing data, and that's a bad way to start anyone's day. Marcus opens up Apache Airflow, which is one of the most common pipeline orchestration tools in the industry. Think of it as a scheduling system for data jobs. He scans for any red flags, failed tasks, jobs that took longer than expected, data quality alerts. This morning, one pipeline that pulls customer order data timed out. A source API was slow to respond. Marcus checks the logs, confirms it's not a data issue, reruns the job, and watches it complete. 15 minutes, problem solved. Here's the thing most people don't realize about data engineering. A huge part of the job is monitoring and maintaining systems that are already running. You're not building new things every day. Some days you're just making sure the machine keeps humming. And honestly, that's a skill. Knowing how to troubleshoot quickly, where to look first, what to ignore versus what's critical, that comes from experience. Number 2, the daily stand-up and stakeholder meetings. At 9 a.m., Marcus joins his team's daily stand-up on Zoom. The data engineering team has 6 people. 3 data engineers, a senior data engineer, a data architect, and an engineering manager. Each person gives a quick update: what they worked on yesterday, what they're working on today, any blockers. But here's the part that surprises most people about data engineering. It's not just heads down coding all day. A significant chunk of your time is spent talking to other teams. The marketing team wants to know why their campaign attribution numbers look off. The product team needs a new data source integrated for a feature they're launching. The data science team is asking for historical data that goes back 3 years, but nobody's sure if it's even stored in a clean format. Marcus spends about 30 minutes after stand-up in a follow-up with the marketing analyst. Turns out their numbers look off because a tracking pixel was updated on the website, which changed the format of the incoming event data. The pipeline still ran, it didn't fail, but it silently started categorizing some events incorrectly. These are the kinds of subtle bugs that make data engineering tricky. The system didn't break, it just started giving slightly wrong answers. And catching those takes a completely different mindset than traditional IT troubleshooting. Number 3, building a new data pipeline. This is the part people picture when they think about data engineering, and it is a big part of the job. Marcus spends the late morning working on a new pipeline that needs to pull real-time inventory data from the company's warehouse management system and feed it into a dashboard that the operations team uses. He's working in Python and SQL. Those are the two non-negotiable languages in data engineering. Python for building the extraction and transformation logic, SQL for querying and manipulating data once it lands in the warehouse. The company uses Snowflake as their cloud data warehouse and AWS as their cloud platform. So Marcus is also working with S3 buckets for staging data and Lambda functions for lightweight processing. What makes this challenging isn't writing the code. It's designing for scale and reliability. This pipeline needs to handle thousands of inventory updates per hour. It needs to handle situations where the source system is slow or unavailable. It needs to transform messy, inconsistent data into a clean, standardized format. And it needs to do all of that without anyone babysitting it. Marcus sketches out the architecture, writes the initial extraction layer, and sets up some unit tests. He won't finish this today. A pipeline like this usually takes 1 to 2 weeks from design to production. But that's normal. Data engineering is iterative. You build, you test, you break it, you fix it, you test again. Quick favor before we continue. If this video is helping you, hit that like button. It makes a huge difference for the channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time. All right, let's keep going. Number 4, data quality and documentation. After lunch, Marcus shifts to something that doesn't sound glamorous but is absolutely critical. Data quality. He's been working on implementing data quality checks using a tool called dbt, which stands for Data Build Tool. dbt has become one of the most popular tools in the modern data stack because it lets you write tests and transformations directly in SQL. Marcus is writing checks that validate incoming data, making sure customer IDs aren't null, order amounts aren't negative, timestamps are within expected ranges. These tests run automatically every time the pipeline processes new data. If something fails, the team gets an alert before bad data reaches any reports or dashboards. He also spends about an hour updating the team's data catalog documentation. This is where you describe what each table contains, where the data comes from, how it's transformed, and what it means in business terms. It sounds boring, and honestly, most engineers don't love it. But when a new team member joins and needs to understand why the revenue number in Table A doesn't match the revenue in Table B, that documentation saves hours of confusion. I'll be real with you. When I was coming up through IT, documentation was one of those things everyone said was important, but nobody actually did well. In data engineering, it's not optional. The complexity of modern data systems means that if you don't document, you create a mess that nobody, including future you, can untangle. Number 5, a performance optimization. Mid-afternoon, Marcus gets pulled into something that every data engineer deals with regularly: slow queries. A report that used to take 30 seconds to load is now taking 4 minutes. The data science team flagged it because it's blocking their model training workflow. Marcus digs into the query execution plan in Snowflake to figure out what changed. Turns out the underlying table has grown significantly over the past quarter. It's now holding 800 million rows. And the query isn't partitioned efficiently. He restructures the table's clustering keys, adds a materialized view for the most common query patterns, and the execution time drops back down to under a minute. This is where data engineering overlaps with what DBAs have been doing for decades. If you've ever tuned SQL queries, optimized indexes, or restructured a database for performance, congratulations. You already have a core data engineering skill. The tools are different. Snowflake instead of SQL Server, Spark instead of SSIS. But the thinking is the same. And here's something people don't talk about enough: cost. When you're running on cloud platforms, every query costs money. A poorly written pipeline or an unoptimized table can cost your company thousands of dollars a month in unnecessary compute charges. Part of being a good data engineer is keeping an eye on those cloud bills and knowing how to optimize not just for speed, but for cost. Number 6, code review and continuous learning. The last stretch of Marcus's day is spent on code reviews. A junior engineer on the team submitted a pull request for a new data transformation, and Marcus reviews it line by line. He's checking for correctness, but also for best practices. Is the code readable? Will it scale? Are there edge cases that aren't handled? This is where seniority really matters in data engineering. Junior engineers can write code that works. Senior engineers write code that works, scales, doesn't break at 3 a.m., and can be understood by someone who reads it 6 months later. That gap takes years to close, but code review is one of the best ways to accelerate it, for both the reviewer and the person being reviewed. I spent 27 years going from resetting passwords to running entire IT departments. And one thing I've learned is that the people who grow fastest aren't always the most technically gifted. They're the ones who stay curious, who ask for feedback, and who treat every project as a learning opportunity. Marcus wraps up his day by spending 30 minutes reading about a new feature in Apache Spark. Not because anyone told him to, because in data engineering, just like in all of IT, the tools change constantly. And the day you stop learning is the day your career starts slowing down. All right, let's recap what we covered. A data engineer's day starts with monitoring, checking overnight pipelines, and fixing anything that broke before the business notices. Then it's meetings and stakeholder alignment, because data engineering is as much about communication as it is about code. The core of the day is building and maintaining data pipelines using Python, SQL, and cloud tools like Snowflake and AWS Data Quality, and documentation keep everything trustworthy and understandable. Performance optimization ensures your systems stay fast and cost-effective as data volumes grow. And finally, code reviews and continuous learning keep you sharp and keep your team's standards high. The big picture? Data engineering is the backbone of every data-driven company. If you like problem solving, working with systems at scale, and building things that people rely on every single day, this might be the role for you. I hope this video helped you. If you liked the video, please hit that like button and also subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.